official.
You want the three of you to wrestle each other?
This needs to be settled.
Is that what they want? Is that what they're asking for?
That's what she's saying, David. She wants a triple threat match.
Make it happen.
You got it, a triple threat match between the three of you. Once and for all, let's put the bickering aside. Genesis versus Exodus versus Ice Cold.
But you did this for what? Why not? Why? Why not? Why though?
We all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
And it is for the WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
The World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
If you listen to it from the beginning, that is going to be the theme of this particular reviews episode. But why though? That is the only question that I can ask. And it's a shame coming off of a week that I said, man, you know, this WoW episode was pretty good. They had good matches here. I like the main event. I like the match underneath it. I like the tag match. I like this tag match. This was a good show. That was what I said last week. This week, I have my questions. I'll put it that way. I'm sure if there is something that I'm overlooking, you will let me know. But as it is right now, when I think about it attached to any sort of what I would consider logic. Now, forget wrestling logic, just logic in general. It makes me feel like this might not be as good as it could be. Hello, folks. Thanks for tuning in. This is your host, Mr. Green. You are listening to the Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling podcast. And for the last several weeks, it has been me reviewing WoW and WoW's episodes. Of course, I filter in little news, views, and updates there when I can. There isn't a lot of that going around right now, so I think we're going to get into review fairly quickly. Aside from a couple of small items here, so let's just get that in and done so we can get to the meat of the matter, and that would be the WoW review. But as we are here in news, views, and updates, I think it needs to be brought up that WWE's Queen of the Ring tournament has kicked off. I have not really been overly driven to watch this, quite honestly. Not that I don't think anybody there was good. I just, some of that has had to do with time, but a lot of it is, I don't know if I take the King and Queen of the Ring tournament as a big deal. So I catch it when I catch it. I don't feel like I have to go out my way to see it. It's not like it was a pay-per-view all of its own. These are matches that's taking place throughout Raw. And once they started doing that a couple of years ago, specifically with the King of the Ring, it didn't have the same feel for me anymore. I was like, whatever. But in order to, cover that, I just want to say here are the participants for the Queen of the Ring portion. Io Sky defeated Natalya, which, as good as Natalya is, and she continues to be, and I don't think anybody should take anything away from her. I don't know if Io Sky winning was some sort of major shock. Zoe Stark defeated Ivy Nile. Lyra Valkyria defeated Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai stepped in for Asuka, who was reported as injured. So there's one more match as of my recording this for the first round. That's going to be Shayna Baszler versus Zelina Vega. And I'm just going to go ahead and put my vote in for Baszler taking it and stepping up against Sky. Although that one might be a bit more of a coin toss. It might be Io Sky that goes over there. So But I will be tuned in to see what exactly is happening with that. It will be interesting to see who ultimately comes out with the crown, and whether they will do something with it. Allegedly it's supposed to give you a number one contendership, but we'll see if that actually takes place or they do something worthwhile. Of course, there's also the NXT North American Women's Championship or Women's North American Championship. That is still an ongoing thing. There are, 2 qualifying matches that have been confirmed for this particular title. And again, this is as of my recording. So, if you've seen it ahead of this, then, take that for what it is. But it is, and I hope I'm pronouncing some of this right, because I don't know who is Sol Ruka and Izzy Dame. I might be saying the names wrong. That's one qualifier, and Ivy Nile versus Lash Legend being the other. Results from the previous ones: Shayna Baszler defeated Carmen Petrovic. Mitchin defeated Adrienne Grace. Fallon Henley defeated, Kalani Jordan? See, look, I'm getting all that kind of messed up. And the NXT Women's Championship match, the title match, Roxanne Perez defeated Chelsea Green. So, Chelsea continues to hang on in WWE land, but she doesn't seem to be making much ground. At least she is being featured and doing something rather than just a name that comes out there with no time to talk or get herself over or, something like that. I mean, at least she gets to do something somewhere to get herself, some kind of attention one way or the other. But that really seems to be the bulk of any big news that's going on. There is one other thing. Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan, we do have that to look forward to. This will be at the culmination of the King and Queen of the Ring event, and it will be Lynch defending the title against Liv. I can only imagine that at some point Liv Morgan either has to win the championship or she has to be featured fairly heavily leading into Rhea Ripley coming back, because that seems to be the program that they're going to be setting up for. That Rhea Ripley is going to come after Liv Morgan. But the only way that would be a money match is if Liv Morgan has done something of note leading into it. So, whereas I don't know if she would win this particular match, it wouldn't shock me if she did, but I'm not expecting it. But if she doesn't win it here, I expect her to somehow get her heat back. And I expect her to find a way to maintain a main event position in the women's division. Whether that be winning the championship somewhere down the line. Like I can totally see if Becky Lynch beats Liv Morgan and Liv just will not go away. And then she comes back after her, and then she finally accomplishes the goal. She wins the championship, and then, we get Rhea Ripley coming after Liv to dethrone her and regain her title. I can totally see that. But time will tell. We'll see where that goes. That's pretty much all the news, views, and updates that I really want to cover here, because most of this I don't find particularly interesting, or at least not enough for me to steer away from the bulk of what this program is about. The bulk of what this program is about is, of course, the review of our favorite pro wrestling show, or maybe not. I was going to mention some stuff that's taking place on TNA Impact. I will say, without going into a lot of stuff, I am still entertained by Ash by Elegance. I just still am. I don't know. Maybe it's just how well they've done it, and maybe it's her personal concierge and all that stuff. But I am still entertained by them. It hasn't worn thin on me yet. So, there are some events that I have to look at. I know that she just had a match with Jessica Havoc, and I haven't finished watching it. Well, I haven't watched it yet. I've seen some clips of it. So, I will tune in to watch that and see where and how that goes. But the little bits that I did see, I was completely entertained by. I have to say that I was completely entertained by the the concept of them, and I'll leave it at that. And also, the little side note. Yeah, see, I'm stretching longer than I thought already. The Stardom, new Goddess of Stardom champions. The FDC is what I guess the name that they go by. I'm going to try to pronounce this, so give me a break if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I apologize. Azuki and Kojima are the first ever 3-time Goddess of Stardom champions, and I see them with the big trophy. That's one thing I do love about what the presentation of the championships in some Japan promotions is the title and the trophy, the pomp and the circumstances. They really do a lot to portray the titles and the event as a big deal. Speaking of tag team championships, I guess we should also bring up the fact that Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair won the women's tag team titles at Backlash. So this is the first set. Well, I won't say set. This is the first championship that Jade has won post AEW. So, I mean, congratulations, man. That is good for her. And I guess it's a way to keep Jade Cargill covered at the moment, so that we don't have to expose any weaknesses that she may have. And look, I know it's a matter of time before we see Cargill and Belair facing off each other. It's bound to happen eventually. They already teased it at the Royal Rumble, so it is bound to take place. But as it is right now, I think this is pretty cool that they got this thing happening here. Congratulations. That's the best I can say for that. Congratulations. I'd like to see them carry this off for a little while before we go to the inevitable split. But it is fantastic to see that they've done something, and I guess they're now going to try to get their money's worth out of Jade Cargill, certainly more than what anybody that's signed on to AEW has been expected to do. Mercedes Moné, for instance, but whatever, we'll move on from there. And of course, Bayley retains her women's championship against Tiffany Stratton and Naomi in a triple threat match. So cool deal. Bayley continues to roll on as the WWE Women's Champion. Did I get it all? Did I cover all my bases here? I think I did. Anything else I will probably leave as a note on the community tab. I do write up some things every once in a while. I look for your polls or at least your vote in polls or your opinions and what have you. So we're going to move on out of that. Anything else that I have, I will put into that particular slot or perhaps on Instagram. But that will conclude the news, views, and updates. And when we come back, it will be the full review of WOW, Women of Wrestling. And we're back. So now we're going to cover WOW, Women of Wrestling. The title, Battle for Supremacy. The seasonal count, 234. The chronological number, episode 86. The air date, May 4th. And If last week's episode was a B plus, this is just based on storyline and continuity. Just based on that alone, this is probably like a D minus. It is just above fail for me. Now, keep in mind, I understand that there are going to be some people like, what are you talking about? They had some great matches and this, that, and the other, and I love the Class Master and the Mighty Mites and Stephy Slayz, and she's the greatest. I know that is going to exist. But as I do with most of these things, I will explain my position, and you can, take it from there, take it with a grain of salt. So, let's begin with covering the show as the show starts with IQ Superior, the team, not the nickname for Samantha Smart, coming out to the ring and cutting a promo. Now, normally I would not play any promos off of WoW, but I think it's necessary just to do a little bit of a reminder here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to insert the audio for Samantha Smart cutting a promo so we can kind of dissect a little bit of that together. And as soon as she's done, we're going to come back and we'll talk about it.
Oh,
Shut
boy.
up! I'm trying to say something here! Listen to me now! I want the mother truckers. If that Holly Fleabag wouldn't have cheated, we would be standing here with the belts right now. You see, I brought the best team to WoW that the world has ever seen. And Dumb and Dumber, oh, I'm sorry. I mean the Tonga twins? Well, they've had way too many opportunities. So right now, I'm gonna take matters into my own hands. Shut up, this is important. David McLean!
Yes!
I demand a match with those coconut-brained buffoons!
I can't believe she's disrespecting the Tonga twins that way. Here we hear the music.
And still have energy to beat those truckers.
The Tonga twins coming out with Little Tiki, their friend Little Tiki. She's jumping right in here into the thick of things. That's disrespectful.
Okay, smarty pants. If you want to get to the truckers, you have to get through the Island Dynasty.
Oh.
But on one condition, you have to step in the ring.
Samantha Smart?
Samantha Smart, she's not a wrestler.
All right. So there we have it. That was the Samantha Smart promo. Basically demanding a tag team championship for the greatest tag team that anybody had ever seen. Which is why I had to play that, just for that line alone. I was like, oh, okay, my gosh, greatest tag team. I wrote down here in my notes, Samantha Smart says she brought the best team to WoW that the world has ever seen. And I highlighted, how could she say that with a straight face? My answer is, I don't know. I don't know how she could have said that with a straight face. I have no idea. Team IQ Superior has not won nothing. So how and why they would be considered the greatest of anything is absolutely beyond me. Just completely beyond me. I don't know why on earth that would come out of anybody's mouth, much less hers, if she's as smart as she claims to be. The first thing that I had kind of issues with here was she's referencing something that took place almost 2 months ago. Talking about the Tonga twins beating them, like that was a while back. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Not the Tongas, but the Mother Truckers. Like, the Mother Truckers got lucky when they beat us. I'm like, seriously? The Mother Truckers? They got lucky. They've beaten everybody. Now, granted, of course, the heel is supposed to boost up their team, but not to the point of no credibility. And this promo, as much conviction as she's given it. Now, we're not talking about her delivery. The delivery was fine. It was like somebody gave her a script, say, hey, go learn this and go out there and do it. And she delivered it well. She nailed it. I cannot say that she was unable to do that. What I can say is that it's the same heel promo that every other heel manager / person in that company does. They hit the same bullet points. You people shut up. My team or my person or I am the greatest thing in WoW's history. And then the focus turns to David McClain. David McClain do fill in the blank. Everybody does the same promo. Turn to David McClain and demand. Say something about my team and demand. David McClain, do this. David McClain, I want that. It's the same promo. Everybody cuts the same thing. They word it differently, but it's the same promo. If you hit those 3 points, if you listen for those 3 points in any heel promo, it'll all come together. It's exactly what I'm saying. It will sound the same to you. Come out and tell the people to shut up. Put yourself and your team over. Yell at David McClain about what you want. Those 3 points. If you do that, everybody's promo is the same. Every heel promo is exactly the same. And Samantha Smart's promo was no different. There is nothing wrong inherently with the promo necessarily, but they need different material. It cannot all be the same thing. Somebody has to look, walk, sound, talk different. And none of them do. The only person that gets a pass on this, since we're down this path already, the only person that gets a pass on this is not Samantha Smart, but Lana Starr. She's the only one that gets a pass on that because she has something to back it up with. She can say that I had the greatest tag team of all time. She can say that I managed the world's champion. She can say that I am the best manager in WoW because there's something that she can point to validate her claim. Even if fans at home are like, well, you had to cheat to do it, or you did this, or you're no good without having so-and-so in your corner. Even if that were the case, she still has some level of credibility underneath her to validate what she's saying. She had Penelope Pink as the world champion. She had Miami Sweet Heat as the tag team champions. She was a WoW champion at one point. It's debatable whether that's a good or bad thing or not. But she was a champion. She has credibility that Samantha Smart, Sophia Lopez, Angelica Dante, and am I missing one? If I think of it, I'll say it later. But she has a credibility that none of them carry. Well, I guess you could add in girl from Exile, Genesis. She has credibility that none of them carry. And they all just repeat the same talking points for whatever reasons that they want to repeat them. So Samantha Smart does the standard heel promo and does the standard heel thing and turns to Dave McClain, and I demand a championship match against the Mother Truckers, despite the fact that they've lost against the Mother Truckers. And then she starts talking about the Tonga twins basically saying that they don't deserve another opportunity. What opportunity did they have? It's another case of you talking about stuff that I can't follow this. When did they have an opportunity against the Mother Truckers? Granted, did they have opportunities against the heel team of Miami Sweet Heat? Yes. But we're not with them right now. They're not the tag team champions. We can't lean on, well, they've had opportunity after opportunity, and we haven't. especially when they're a losing team. IQ Superior loses all the time. I can't imagine why anybody would ever be excited about them being in a main event for anything, because it's like a foregone conclusion that they're going to lose. But we'll get to that. The point here being is that she brought up, in talking about the mother truckers, she brought up the Tonga twins, who had nothing to do with this, who we as viewers have not seen get multiple title shots. It was just a very loose way to incorporate them in somehow, some way. But I honestly do not understand or know why they were like, well, the Tonga twins got multiple. I was like, well, why is this a thing? Why wouldn't she just make the challenge directly to the mother truckers, which would make more sense? And if they wanted to incorporate the Tonga twins, then you have them come out and say, hey, wait a minute now. You lost all the time. We should be getting the tag team title shot. Or something along those lines. The constant inclusion of David McLean into everything that they do is being run into the ground. So anyway, she does that, does the standard thing. The Island Dynasty comes out. Now they challenged IQ Superior to a match for the right to be able to challenge the mother truckers, I guess. And it's Tiki who is being the spokesperson for the Tonga twins. So we're looking to get tag team championships, but we're going to settle that in the course of a 6-person. And not only are we going to sell it in the course of a 6-person, but Tiki makes the challenge to Samantha Smart directly. Like, well, yeah, you can. And I don't even know how do I keep saying the mother truckers. Sorry. How does the Tonga twins have this kind of leverage in the first place for Tiki to make this challenge? We'll accept your challenge. It's, provided that you, Samantha Smart, get in the ring. My answer to that, if Samantha Smart, is no. I'm not getting in the ring with you. I'm not a wrestler. No. And you don't get to make those decisions about who's the number one contender. Now, it'd be different if they was already the number one contenders. But we haven't seen that. That's what I'm saying. We haven't seen that. We don't know that. It hasn't been portrayed as such. I can't even remember the last time I seen the Tonga twins on television. That's how unimportant it was. I'm sure they've been there, but I just cannot recall the last time I've seen the Tonga twins. Without them chasing for a championship, they are a very bland team. And I hate to say that, but without them, this is every reason that I said that this show needs promo time. They need to be able to get on the microphone. They need to be able to do so, because everybody can have some kind of storyline to be involved in. Everybody can't. And when you don't have it, it turns into this. What are the Tonga twins even about? The only thing that I ever knew about them is that they were twins and they were chasing the tag team championships. Once they did that, it's like, okay. They just became a team on the roster. And then at some point, Dave McLean said, like, hey, they're both mothers and they both have a set of twins. Like, okay, well, that's another little interesting factoid, I guess. But outside of that, we don't know much about them. They just are. And it's not enough. It's not enough to make me care. Like, I care more about Tiki Chamorro at this point than I do either one of the Tonga twins. And the Island Dynasty is just, it's like we got to make this 6-woman tag just because we got to make one. This felt like a completely shoehorned main event into the program. Didn't feel important to me. Didn't understand why it was taking place. Why Samantha Smart's talking about a match that they lost almost 2 months ago. Saying that they're the best team in the world. Like I said, I can't imagine that either the person or the character that's on the screen could possibly believe that. And then, what's worse is the Classmaster. The Classmaster is physically impressive. But when she's standing there with the cap and gown on and she's staring, trying to be intimidating towards the Tonga twins, it does not work. Visually, this is terrible. It makes her look silly. And I know Lois Grain, a.k.a. the Classmaster, probably has no problem with doing comedy. Everything that I've ever seen on her wrestling outside of WoW pretty much points the finger at that. And I don't mean this as a figure of speech. She's a cosplay wrestler, oftentimes. She's dressed as Sailor Moon. She's dressed as Catwoman and other things like that. And look, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what she wants to do, that's what she wants to do. But at least on your TV show, make her look serious. And this just killed that. Who would think that this would be a main event worth watching? So anyhow, the challenge is set. They address Dave McClain again. And the Classmaster looks like she's playing around even when she's in a shoving match. The disciplinarian looks serious, but she always looks serious. But the unfortunate part about her is that they have beaten her into powder. Every time you see the disciplinarian up on your screen, it is a loss waiting to happen. Whoever she was in Booker T's reality of wrestling is long gone. As far as in WoW is concerned. She might, outside of WoW, she's probably still fine. And she's, a good wrestler. And I don't want WoW's interpretation of her to be the lasting image of the Black Diamond. This is what she used to wrestle underneath the name of. But yeah, the disciplinarian. So I try to make it clear that I'm, making a difference between the two. The disciplinarian is awful. Black Diamond, great. But the disciplinarian has the worst win-loss record, or at least one of, that WoW has ever seen. Doesn't win anything. Classmaster is a close second at this point. And we started off with her getting some sort of, starting some domination and winning. But then she gets tied back up into this nonsense. So I don't know where we're going with that. I have no idea. The next segment is the Brat Pack. All three members taking on the Mighty Mites with Steffi Slayz. BK Rhythm does another rap immediately, reminds people that they lost to the Mighty Mites. I immediately had a problem with that. I was like, why would you open up your routine of reminding the public that you lost? And let me tell you, I love those girls. The Brat, well, at least two of them. BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni, I love them as a team. I really do. I keep growing in my admiration of what they do and how they do it in the ring. I do not agree with this. I don't think that should have been the first thing that she did. Come out of the gate with, okay, yeah, you beat us before. I was like, no. Come up with something else. And why somebody didn't tell them that, it's like, come up with something. Just come up with something else, please. So they're talking about another match that took place about a month ago when the Mighty Mites defeated the Brat Pack as represented by Gigi and Little J Boogie. This match as a 6-person tag seems completely unnecessary. All of the 6-person tags seem unnecessary here now. Like, the tournament's over, and there's nothing that really ropes them in together whether this should be happening. I mean, put it this way. If the Brat Pack had beaten up on the Mighty Mites for 2 or 3 weeks and it was always a case of the numbers advantage, then I could see, all right, well, we've recruited Steffi Slayz. But as it is, this is just Steffi Slayz with the Mighty Mites for the sake of Steffi Slayz being the Mighty Mites. She looked like she'd need to be in that team anyway. She's only like a few inches taller than them to begin with. So it is the start of this match with a complete reminder that we've already lost to this team, which I didn't like. And hasn't ever been explained why J Boogie's joined the heels. She's been with them for several weeks now, and she hasn't spoken one word as to why she's part of this team. Meanwhile, the commentators bring up some variation of it. I just saw J Boogie's mother at the airport, and she just said, let her have her own, make her own decisions. Like, okay, we're not talking about her making her own decisions. We're talking about why is she in the group to begin with. J Boogie has essentially been portrayed as a babyface that is with the heels, despite the fact that she knows that the heels cheat on a regular basis and really has no problem participating in the things that they do to embarrass the opponent. But then at the same time, I don't want to cheat myself. It just hasn't been explained. I don't know why this would take place. I don't know why she would be part of it. She doesn't fit other than the fact that she has a boombox and she comes out there and she, has that one gimmick. If that gimmick didn't exist, would she even be part of this group? Probably not. This match is an example, and I'm going to veer off just for a second here because I already talked about, not Boogie, but Rhythm starting off the match with her rhymes of the episode. And I didn't like this one. I'm not overly a fan of most of them, but I absolutely didn't like this one because of the reminder. But that does not take away from the fact that I like BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni. I really like them as a team. The Mighty Mites are growing on me. I hate the fact that they were introduced to being jobbed out and not just beaten. I mean, beaten bad. They were squashed. I hate the fact that was their introduction. And it felt like just a short-term booking. Like they did not plan ahead for them to do anything. Why would they put them in the ring with last call for them just to squash them brutally if they were going to have some level of growth? They could have came across that later. You could have gotten something out of it or tried to at least if last call was still there. But I honestly feel like that this combination of tag team, the Brat Pack, and I Express, as represented by BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni, taking on the Mighty Mites, is a money match. I really feel like that. I think that they had the potential to get wrestling fans involved in it. All of them look like they take it seriously. All of them look like they think about what they're doing beyond just being in the ring. All of them seem to work well. They seem to have fairly good chemistry with each other. And I'm not even mad at Stephy Slayz for being there. Slayz did fine in the match. I just don't think that she served a purpose in this. It would have been better just between the four rather than all six. J Boogie does not need to be there. I'm sorry. My opinion about that has not changed. I'm pretty sure that, damn, I mean, started losing my voice there. Anyway, my opinion about that hasn't changed, and I'm pretty sure she's a sweet young lady, but being trained for about 3 or 4 months, maybe 6, and then being thrown on national TV is not my idea where she should be. It just isn't. And she does not seem to have any defined characteristic about her. We don't hear her say or speak or anything. Like I said, we're weeks into this, and we still don't know why she's partnered with this clearly heel team to begin with. other than the fact that she carries a boombox and BK Rhythm is about hip hop. That's pretty much it. Other than that, what reason does she have for being in this group? I mean, and she does all the, the baby face. I'm going to shake your hand, and I'm fine with you, and I'm going to, wave at you like we're all good and having a great time, and it doesn't fit whatever it is that they're trying to do. It was okay when there was a trios tournament because then you could justify it under the guise of, well, we needed a third partner just to participate. But other than that, where else is that going? So anyway, let's just do the review of the match, and then I'll give whatever opinions that we had. Jay Boogie and Stephy Slayz start the match off. So the odd person's out, in my opinion. I'm not going to say that the odd person's out overall, but in my opinion, these are the odd women out in this equation. Slayz is fine, and like I said, I don't have a problem with Stephy Slayz, but her position in this company is pretty much defined. I don't think she's going to go any higher, and she's not going to go any lower. She's just going to be where she is. She's been there 10 years already, and nothing's changed. So I have absolutely no reason to believe that it's going to start changing now. But she and Jay Boogie start the match off, and they have their wrestlers exchange between the two of them. This was okay. I cannot, in all fairness, say that Boogie was bad here. That would be unfair to her, even though there were points that she might not have moved as crisply or quickly as she could have. But it always comes across to me like she's just playing around with the part. And if I am reading into this wrong, or if I'm being overly critical, please just let me know. But it always feels that way to me. It always feels like she's just playing the part of being the wrestler. So they have their exchange, and then they get up and, they do their standoff thing between the two of them, which didn't get any sort of reaction out of the crowd. Just like, all right, and they're doing their thunderclapper things just to begin with. Stephy Slayz sticks her hand out, and she shakes the hand of Jay Boogie and her partners being Jay Boogie's. They're like, hey, what are you doing? And then they tag off. And then Boogie looks like, oh, I'm sorry. So BK Rhythm tags in. And then we got Stephy Slayz shaking her hand, and she falls for it, and she takes a kick to the guts. BK Rhythm is in control, and then, she maintains that, take her into the corner and tags off to Gianni. Now, we all know that I think the world of her as a tag, well, not a tag, as a wrestler in general. And BK Rhythm, I absolutely think the world of also. Both of them do whatever they can to try to stay in motion. They do what they can to try to keep from looking like I'm just waiting on something to happen. And it's very evident that they're putting the effort into, like, oh my God, even if they got to walk around dazed in the ring for a couple of, steps and, flip the hair out of my head, look down, look like I'm just hurting or whatever the case may be. But they both tend to try their best to do that. And I love them for that. This may have been one of the best versions of the Mighty Mites that I've seen. This is why I'm like, I would have preferred if this was just a standard tag team match between the two of them. If I had the option, I would say they should just get into a feud against each other, because I really think that Sugar and Spice, BK Rhythm, and Gigi Gianni could make this thing work. I really do believe that. But what they'd have to do is get rid of Jay Boogie. Stephy Slayz isn't really part of Sugar and Spice. I mean, I know she fits in very well. She looks like she might be a sister or cousin or whatever. But it's the costume, if nothing. The costume and the makeup make it all match up for me, because it's like The only thing that she's missing is the old costume she had made her look like she fit into that group much better than the new one she's got. The new costume looks fine, but when it was all purple with a little trim on it, she looks like she was just like the third member of the group. Nothing wrong there. Just, that's just how it looked. And she's an attractive young lady, just like Sugar and Spice are, so I can totally see how they would be there. But this is a far better fit for Sugar and Spice rather than most of the other people that they've been in the ring with. Gianni and Rhythm sold well for them. They took bumps for them. They're not towering over top of them. So even though they look like they should have the advantage because of their size, it doesn't look like they're so domineering in size and height that you could not believe that the Mites could win. It would be a great collision of high-flying style of the Mighty Mites versus the ground wrestling technique of the Heels. I mean, I love the idea that I can only hope and wish that they take advantage of it. I honestly would have put them in like a best of 5 series or something like that. I would just put something on the line, number 1 contendership or something to justify the series. But I think that they are probably good enough to where every match that they did, they could bring a little something different. And if I were there, I would be pushing them for it. Like, I know you can do it. I know you can. Make me proud. I know you can make this. I know you can do this match. I know you can. Just do that for me. Anyhow. So anyway, I just went off on my little fantasy rant there. But Gianni and Rhythm, they seem to do pretty well together. Boogie, she got tagged in at some point, and Gianni does like the sling, not a slingshot, but she kind of ropes her around and shoots her into the corner to clothesline Spice. And, of course, she's like, hey, guys, she waves as she's going by the babyface corner. Again, looks like she's goofing off. And the commentator said, like, look at the attitude on her. I was like, what attitude? How was that attitude? Just looked like somebody just being silly. And then she does whatever dance that she does, and then she gives Spice a kick in the face, and then she spins around and gives a leg drop. It's like, okay, this is not working for me. I know that we understand that she's a dancer. I get it. But just because this is your character, and I stress character, just because that is the thing does not mean that you have to do this. It's the same thing I said about Pep Riley and Ariel Sky. It's like they're obligated to do cartwheels and flips because they're supposed to be cheerleaders. You don't have to incorporate that in the match just because you're like, well, I'm a street dancer, so I got to do some dance before I do this leg drop. Because it doesn't work. It doesn't look right. That should be removed from the repertoire. I'm sure she won't, but it should be removed from the repertoire. So, in any case, she does her little spin and does a leg drop, and she drops it on Spice. In fairness to the Brat Pack, all 3 members, I will give her that. They did the whole let's cut her off and make sure that she stays on this side of the ring. They gave Spice had some hope spots with the little roll up that she did on BK Rhythm. BK shot her back off again and did like her little hip toss into suplex combination, which was really good. I like that, that being one of her signature moves. Because it ain't like she got to do some hip-hop stance before she does it. She just does it. That's the thing that she does. She teases the heels. She teases the baby faces in the corner. Like, hey, you want to tag her? Here it is. Tag. Holds her arm out and slaps it hands for her right in front of her. It's like she's doing great. Gianni. She got a very unique chin lock in on her, and her facial expressions were gold. She looked like she meant goddamn business in that ring, and I love it. She was focused on, at least the persona of Gigi Gianni. She was focused on getting that win. And that is what I like. Every second that Rhythm and Gianni were in there, they looked like they were concerned, and not for nothing. Sugar and Spice, and I have to give them credit. This is the match that kind of sold me on them. If you look on the apron with Sugar, there's concern, there's worry. She's concerned about her partner. Her partner's fighting from underneath. She's playing the great underdog. She's getting gut shot after gut shot to Gianni, trying to get out of the corner, and Gianni's fighting back or falling back. And then when Spice is able to get free and she tries to get out of there, Gianni grabs the hair and pulls her back in the corner. Great stuff. Everything meant something there. And the Mites here did a phenomenal job of working from underneath, trying to make that tag, trying to get over there, desperately trying to get out of this ring, because if I don't make it, the end is near. And she finally gets out, makes the tag, and she tags off to Stephy Slayz. Slayz comes in and she does like a couple of flying clotheslines against Rhythm, finishes it off with the trifecta with the drop kick. And here's where I had the problem with the match. I know what they were trying to go for here. I understood what they were trying to do. I just didn't get it in my mind. So if you feel differently, voice your comments. So Rhythm goes, and after she takes the clothesline dropkick, goes to the corner. She tags out to Jay Boogie. Now Jay Boogie said, like, what, me? What do you want me to tag in? Like, why would this be a shocking feat for you? You're involved in a match. A tag could come at any given time. Why is this so surprising that she's like, hey, here, get in there? And she's looking like, huh? You want me to go in? I was like, that part I didn't get. And she was just looking, if you look at her in the apron, she just looked like, oh, okay, like before the tag happened at least. Like she's just chilling, having a good time, standing there on the apron, not doing anything. So she takes the tag involuntarily, like, what? And then Gianni shoves her. Now, that didn't really get caught by the camera all that well, but you could see it. She shoves her into the ring for taking her time going. It's like, hey, go in there, get in. And they're both yelling at her. And for whatever reasons, Jay Boogie gets in the ring and immediately turns around and starts, like, talking to her partners. Like, what do you want me to do? And then she backs up into a roll up, and then that's it. 1, 2, 3. Which that was why I was like, oh God, this finish is just so ridiculous. Why would she not be prepared for this? And I can't blame the baby. I mean, not the baby face. I can't blame the heels for, like, get in there, do something, because she's standing around like, what do I do? And then the first thing I do is I turn around away from my opponent, and I get rolled up and I lose. The only good thing that I feel like could be coming from this is if Jay Boogie gets cut out of this group permanently. Just beat her up, take her off of TV, and bring her back at a more appropriate date. But other than that, she doesn't belong in there. She doesn't belong in this team. This didn't have to be a 6-person. It's fine. Because the Mites and the core members of the Brat Pack carried it. And I would not be upset if I got to see a Mighty Mites Brat Pack match and or feud in the future. Actually, I would be pulling for it. So the match is over with. And they have a post-match interview. David McLean comes from the commentating booth, of course, because he has to do that. And, hey, Stephy Slayz, and, you know, you're the veteran of this. Now, I will say, in regards to him referring to her as a veteran, in WoW's universe, I get it, because she's been there for a long time. My only problem with her being referred to as a veteran is that it gives the idea that she's the most experienced, that she's accomplished a lot within the company, that she has been, you know, that she's done a lot of things within WoW. And whereas she might have done a lot of things within, you know, WoW, she's on the surface of it, there's not a lot of, and I'm trying to say this without being insulting, but on the surface of it, there's not a lot that would make her be the veteran of the group. Her win-loss record is pretty shoddy. She has been there for 10 years and really hasn't grown or gone anywhere. I don't know if she's ever even challenged for the women's championship, much less a tag title or gone to the finals of anything. And it's like there's no viable measurement that she has that I can look at and say that, okay, if somebody was watching this show and they was like, hey, she's a veteran, let me check into that, or let me see what she's done, that would make her come off like, oh, okay, I get it. Like there's nothing I could say to sell her to either the casual wrestling fan or the hardcore wrestling fan, beyond the fact that she's attractive. But she's attractive in a sea of attractive women. Like almost all of it, everybody there is attractive. So where does that leave us? But that's Dave McLean's words. I probably would have phrased it differently. So he gives the promo time or the interview time with them. She puts over the baby faces. Well, the segment, the interview segment was there to put over the baby face in the promotion. And at the end, it's very pun heavy. We, put a spice up your life and add a little seasoning to your world and whatever else they said. And I don't remember. It was a very pun everything, just enough to get them over. And I want to say this about Sugar and Spice, and normally I do not address, unless it's important, the Instagram post-match things that are said. I got on them being wow for having these post-match interviews with people who look like they got fresh out of the makeup chair. Like Americana, for instance. And I don't mean to, point at her, but it's the first name that I think of. She did an interview which was allegedly post-match that she didn't look like she was sweating. Didn't look like her hair was down. The makeup, everything about her was immaculate. The makeup, the hair wasn't breathing heavy. Was no sweat. Like this was supposed to have been a World Championship match that you just got of, and nothing looked different, out of place, like you put any effort in at all. It gets difficult at times to buy into the narrative of WoW being the top of the female athletic / wrestling mountain when things like that happen to dissuade me. And this is one of those things that dissuaded me. But I brought that up to say this. Sugar and Spice were not that. They did their post-match promo, and if nothing else, they at least sold the fact that they were hurt. Something as simple as that. They sold the fact that they were hurt. One of them, even though they was giving the promo, she's holding her neck. The other one's holding her stomach, and the ribs is like, yeah, we did such and such. And yes, it was still very spice and pun heavy, but at least the effort was there. And I appreciated them for it. It's like, okay, I get it. They at least are trying to make the best of whatever this situation happens to be. And honestly, if they cannot get a run of matches against the Brat Pack, because I can't think of another team that would match up with them as good as the Brat Pack right now. Team Spirit's babyface team. I don't think they would match up well with Top Tier because I don't trust WoW not to just go ahead and squash the Mighty Mites. The Brat Pack and the Mites could make each other, quite possibly, in a properly done rivalry. That is how I honestly feel about the two of them, the two teams. Hopefully, I forgot. The heels leave mad at J Boogie. Hopefully, this is the end of J Boogie in that group. And they just revert back to being a tag team rather than a trio. They do not need J Boogie there. Next segment is a promo for the Exile implosion, I should say. And they talked about Genesis coming to the commentating booth before they hit the commercial break. Now, I made sure to make note of that because of what was said following that. And I listened to it because when we look at it at work, I actually have to watch it 2 days in a row. I don't have to, but I have the option to watch it 2 days in a row at work. It airs on Saturday and Sunday nights. I can see it multiple times if I watch it as it goes across the room because it airs from, east to west coast. And it can start off in New York, Atlanta, Boston, Miami, and it'll just travel across the room from one time zone to the next. And if I was really trying, I could probably watch it multiple times, but it's more than I can bear. So anyway, they have a promo spot for this. It is mentioned that Genesis is going to come to the commentating booth. She's going to join them before the break. But somehow David McClain is unaware of this because when they come back, it's like, we didn't know you were coming. Like, really? You didn't? You just advertised it before you went to commercial. So we have this match, Ice Cold versus Exodus. It goes back to the theme of this episode, but why though? Why is this happening? I do not understand the motivation behind why this match is taking place. If we are to watch WoW for the last couple of weeks, it has been more or less established that Genesis either was looking to leave the group and be solo. That was the last thing that we saw with her promo. Or that she has appointed herself as the leader of Exile. They have fallen in line to that because no one's really bucked the system with that. Or bucked against her, I should say. And that was that. She pretty much got what she wanted, being Genesis. But yet somehow she is not satisfied with that for some reason. I don't know why. And we have this match where I'm going to take my team and they're going to go against each other to just show me who's for what? If we're a team, why do we need to illustrate who is the strongest? Never mind the fact that we just had the same angle done like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Samantha Smart. I'm going to put my team up against each other and we'll see. Well, several weeks ago. I guess it's been more than 2 or 3. I'm going to put my team up against each other so we can see who's the strongest. What purpose does this serve? What is that supposed to do? If it was a case of we don't know who's going to challenge for the world's championship and we need to see who's the strongest amongst us to do it, Maybe. But they're supposed to be a team. So I don't understand why we are going to these lengths and why Exodus and Ice Cold would agree to this. It is the same thing that we got with Samantha Smart. It's a recycled angle. For what reason would the disciplinarian, the class master, and G.I. Jane at the time agree to doing that? And then when it's over with, it's like we're just going to attack you anyway, whoever won. So for what? This was a pointless match with a pointless angle that has started in the middle. This was like when Sahara Spars turned to Amber Rodriguez. Like it was just an angle that just began out of nowhere. And this is what this is. This is an angle that began out of nowhere. There's no point to it. And why would I back up or support or care about whoever won this? So Genesis comes out. She joins the commentating booth and explains, I guess to the best of her ability, why I have to have them go against each other so we can see who's the strongest of the strong and, whatever. We get Exodus and Ice Cold in the middle of a match. And to their credit, I guess they're doing the best out of just a ridiculous angle. It doesn't look like there's any heat there. It doesn't look like they're really mad at each other. Like I said, I don't have any idea why they would be having this match in the first place. The crowd didn't seem to care. They were all quiet. There was nothing to this. They were just kind of watching, as I was. Like, there's nothing to this. Why is this happening? It was just applauding moves just for the sake of applauding moves. The match in and of itself meant nothing. So, as it means nothing, we'll just go towards the end. At some point in the match, not Genesis. Yeah, it was Genesis. Genesis claimed, she took my move. She stole that's my move, David. My problem here is that has that move really been done enough to where we've established it as hers to where anybody would care? The move in question, by the way, is like a full Nelson to a slam. That's pretty much the best way I can describe it. Like a full Nelson to a pancake slam. Ice Cold charges Exodus in the corner. She tries to hit it with a knee lift. She misses. Exodus pulls her down, hooks her into a full Nelson, then shoots her up and flips her to her side into like a Uranagi. Full Nelson to a Uranagi. That's like the best way I can say it. And then, of course, she points at Genesis, and Genesis is up. Look at her. She stole my move. David McClain, she did my move. Oh, my God. Okay, whatever. So, it doesn't get a win. Like I said, the crowd looks like they are completely not involved in this whatsoever. It's just a few people clapping for the sake of clapping and cheering the moves as they can cheer the moves. And I can understand, because who am I supposed to cheer for here? Why am I supposed to cheer for them? Who should I be caring about in this? Because this is an absurd angle. Ice Cold did far better than I probably would have originally given her credit for. I think that she has some potential there for her. She probably needs to do this more often, but I think there's potential there. Genesis. Is it Genesis? Genesis gets away from the commentating booth and she runs. Well, runs. It's not like she's only a couple of feet away. She comes out the ringside after Exodus is able to nail Ice Cold with another Uranagi out of the corner. It's kind of like the counter move that Samoa Joe does when somebody charges him into the corner. As she's going for the cover, then here comes Genesis. Genesis is up on ringside, and she's yelling at the referee for some reason or another. The referee's, she's saying, all right, get down, or whatever she's saying, as Exodus is applying an arm bar of some sort, and Ice Cold is tapping out. So Genesis has prevented Exodus from winning the match for whatever reasons that she has decided that I don't want her to win the match. So now the match continues. Exodus and Genesis are complaining to each other. Genesis gets down. That gives Ice Cold time to recover. Ice Cold attacks Exodus from behind. They trade a couple of shots with each other. Ice Cold rolls Exodus up, and again, Genesis gets up. And now she's prevented Ice Cold from getting the cover. And now Ice Cold is complaining. It's like, hey, why didn't you count? I had the match won. And she's complaining to the referee. And Genesis gets into the ring. And now they're yelling and arguing at her. Now it's all three of them. And this is pointless. Don't know where it's going or what this is doing. The referee says, all right, this is no contest. Nobody wins. And then Genesis gets the microphone. Essentially to say that we've got to settle this. And I want a match. She asked, again, refers to Dave McClain. She asked for a triple threat match now, and the commentators made it clear that she's putting the leadership of Exile up for grabs in this match. Like, why is this happening? Why on earth is this happening? What prompted this to take place? And why, if she's already the recognized leader of Exodus, as the commentators have said, why would she get in there and put her leadership role up on the line against them? What is she? She has nothing to gain from this. It reminds me of the commentary that Rick Rude said about Shane Douglas years ago. It's like, it's a questionable move by Taz to take the match, but it's downright stupid from Shane Douglas. He has nothing to gain from that. So I'm going to paraphrase that and say this. It's a questionable move by Ice Cold and Exodus to take the match. But it's downright stupid from Genesis to take it because she has nothing to gain from this. Why? Why would she put her leadership for a crumbling group at that? It's not like the group is strong. They've never had a title shot. They seem like they've just fallen apart before they've done anything. And they're almost a non-factor in the tag team division at this point. What is there to gain from Genesis to do this? Nothing. Nothing at all. So that is what we are waiting for now. A triple threat match with the members of Exile. And to determine who's going to be the new leader. I don't know why. The next segment, they do a recap of how Ariel Scott became a water girl. Who cares? It's nice that they did the recap. I'll give them that. It's nice that they did a recap for anybody who is just watching this for the first time so they can, okay, I understand why she's there. But ultimately, I mean, the angle in and of itself was absurd. And it hasn't shown any signs of this 4D chess that some fans there were alleging that, oh, well, this has got to be something Ariel Scott's doing. She's trying to manipulate them from within, and she's playing, she's several moves ahead of everybody. All right. I'm still holding out hope for it, but I don't see it. I do not see this. At least not yet. And she doesn't seem like she is necessarily hurt being the water girl for this group of top tier. Every so often she might show some kind of remorse. I mean, but her expression never changes. It's always this kind of subservient, dumpy look. And I I can't really say it any other way. I mean, even when she came out, she had like a smile on her face. That's why I'm like, I don't see this as a loss for her. She got what she wanted. I said that last time, and she got what she wanted. I want to continue to work hard for you. And she is. Where am I supposed to feel sympathy in this equation? I don't. I don't feel any sympathy here. She comes out, like I said, she's kind of smiling. She comes with the bucket, and she, like she's okay being there, somewhat. She applauds for Gloria Glitter, and she's drinking the water. It's like, okay, well, almost like it's not that big of a deal. The only thing that makes her come off like she is relatively subservient is that the other girls tell her to do something. Like Candy Crush, thank goodness for her. Like she gave her a little push on the shoulder, like, hey, go over there and do your job. Now, they probably should be doing that more often. If Ariel Sky is not going to relate the information through her body language, then it's going to lean on Candy Crush and Gloria Glitter and Campanelli to do it for her. But if they're not going to do that, then the story is going to be lost. That she is being forced into this, and she has no choice but to do this. Because there are times when she looks like she's perfectly fine with it. This being one of them. So, did I say that this was the next match? The next match was Gloria Glitter versus Pep Reilly. Of course, Gloria Glitter comes out with the entirety of Top Tier, and Pep Reilly, for one reason or another, just comes out by herself. Like, where is your partner? Where is Sasha Sparks? Why would you come out here alone? This is just a dumb babyface doing dumb babyface stuff. So she comes out here completely by herself, and she's taking on Gloria Glitter. Now, this match I have little to no problem with because the outcome was the proper outcome and the length of the match was the proper length of the match, if not shorter. I'd have been happy if Gloria Glitter had just popped her off with a move and been done with it in 10 seconds. Because I have no faith in Pep Reilly. She is a crash test dummy there to take the bumps for whatever it is that she has to take a bump for. And she does a good job with it. She does a good job, taking the bumps. And honestly, all jokes aside, I don't mind the fact that Glitter gave her a few things in the match, like the roll up or something like that. That in and of itself isn't bad. This was what it was supposed to be. It was a squash, and it needed to be a squash. What I don't like is why she is doing all this other nonsense. Just what I said about Ariel Sky, just what I said about Pep Reilly earlier. It's the same thing that I said, the same thing that I said about Jay Boogie. There are things that they do in the course of the match and it makes it look like they're just obligated to do them. And in Pep Reilly's case, it's like you have to do something cheerleader related. Even if it doesn't make sense for you to do this in the course of the match. And it didn't. Didn't make any sense for her to do it, especially not her. She's so tiny. Every second of this match, you should be trying to win. Every second of it. She doesn't have a track record enough to where she should be taking any sort of slack in it to do a cheer routine. Especially not from just a snap mare, like, all right, I'm going to flip you over and I'm going to do this jump and cartwheel or whatever the heck, and then drop kick. And then I'll get you in the corner, and then I'll do something else. I'll do a cheer, and then I'll cartwheel myself over there. I was like, just do the move. That's what you should be doing. Just do the move. And when you get yourself to a point where the fans are starting to back you up, then I can see you break one of those out, but they just do it just for the sake of doing it. It was a great cutoff by Gloria Glitter when she when Pep Reilly cartwheels into the corner. She ducks underneath what would have been an elbow, drops her with a backbreaker, really nicely done, and then face plants her right into the second rope. Also very nicely done. I do not think that the necessity to have the other members of Top Tier cheat for her existed. But I don't mind the fact that Glitter cheated because she's a heel, or that she stretched the rules, or whatever you want to call it. She drapes her, throws it across the bottom rope. I'm not necessarily mad that they tried to embarrass her with putting a bucket on top of her head. Those things, I'm not mad at it. But it also points back at the idea like, hey, why is Ariel Scott didn't look like she had any problems doing that whatsoever? Because Campanelli's holding one arm, Candy Crush is holding the other. Sky comes in and puts the bucket on the head. I was like, is she indentured? I can't even get the words out. Is she a servant to this group or not? Is she being forced to do this against her will or not? And I don't get the impression that she is. She does not come across to me like she's being forced. Like I have no option but to do this. She didn't seem like she regretted it. She didn't seem like she had any issues doing it. So, make a long story short here, Gloria Glitter is basically in control of the entirety of this match, save for a few hope spots by Pep Reilly. And that's how it should be. Let me just go ahead and say that. That is how it should be. Pep Reilly has not won anything. She hasn't spoken anything. She hasn't given anybody a reason to care about her. She's come out there without any sort of assistance from her tag team partner, which in hindsight probably is good because Pep Reilly just stood there like a bump on the log when Sasha Sparks was getting beaten up. So why should she be out there for her? Although I'm sure that's not the story that's being told here. Everything that Reilly attempted to do pretty much got cut off at some, form or another. Glitter, at the time that she did get cut off or countered, came as a result of her arrogance. She hoisted Reilly up on her shoulders and she does a couple of squats while Reilly's up there, which gave her time enough to fire off some elbows. She charges into the ropes. Campanelli grabs the ankle of Reilly, which, again, unnecessary, but it works for a heel faction. I just would have preferred, I'm not saying that it was wrong, but I just would have preferred that Glitter just squash her on her own because I don't think Reilly needs to be cheated against. But Campanelli grabs her, distracts her, Reilly turns around, then she gets caught with full Nelson. She's pulled out, a knee lift into the guts, double underhook with the arms, and then the aerobic annihilator, and that's it. 1, 2, 3 is a squash match. Top Tier, or at least a representative of Top Tier, Gloria Glitter wins the match. I had higher hopes for Top Tier as a faction, but I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I think this is pretty much going to be, they're going to be the secondary or third group following behind the Fabulous Four or whoever else. I have seen comments like, this match was awesome. And I'm going to make a public statement to WoW right now. It's comments like that you have to steer away from. The match was fine and the match was good. Awesome is thrown around a little bit too lightly. It did a fine job, and everybody did a serviceable role with bell to bell. But when you read the guys like, oh man, this match is fantastic, this was great, and this, that, and that, that's the stuff you got to steer away from because it's, doesn't seem like it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not discerning, but that does look like it's very critical towards what's happening there. So again, bell to bell, match is fine. The angle or storyline that's surrounding this that being Ariel Sky, I have completely lost faith in, because I was like, really? She didn't look bothered by anything that happened to her former teammate here at all. It's going to take a lot for them to turn this around for me. It's going to take a whole lot to turn this around for me. The next segment is a recap of the challenge from the Island Dynasty earlier in the night. We already covered that. We'll move forward. The segment following that is Princess Aussie walking into what we assume to be some heels locker room. I'm not going to say the heel locker room, but some heels locker room. She sits down and basically explains that she is looking for a new partner. And she came to her because, well, when we went against each other, you wrestled me hard, or, giving a little praise to the difficulty it took to win. And it's like, all right, well, just think about it, and we'll get back together, whatever the case may be. Now, this is one of those cases where I'm assuming that the camera's not supposed to exist, but it's supposed to exist because David McLean and Nigel Zane comment on it, which creatively challenges me, because if this is something that we're supposed to see and question, like, who would walk into a locker room with a camera facing my elbow and at an empty seat waiting for somebody to walk in? I understand that we have to give concessions for television and try to make some sort of surprise to a match that's upcoming, and I'm fine with that. It is just, I really think that could have been done another way. Possibly just a phone call, because we didn't have to know who was on the other end of it. She could have said the same things that she was doing and gotten over without exposing the idea that this camera was already set up for somebody to walk into this room. Now, again, there are concessions for TV, and this is one of the concessions. And I'm fine with it. It's just, I would have preferred it a different way. I'm not saying that this angle is wrong or the way they did it was wrong. That is the least of my issue with that. And McLean looking dumbfounded as he goes, I don't know, who could it be, Nigel? That stuff like that. I wrote down after this segment, I was like, I think this will lead to disappointment. And I hate that I had to write that, but I honestly I think this is going to just lead to disappointment. Because it's not going to be somebody from outside of WoW where people are going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe Mickie James is here. That's not going to happen. We've already established that whoever this is somebody that Princess Aussie is going up against. And second to that, we've established that somebody that she very likely has beaten, which is going to place this person as being a heel. So, my question then became, does Princess Aussie not have any friends at all? This is the second time that she's gone to a heel to ask for help. And in short order. She just went to Candy Crush, which was, even though I thought it was ridiculous and dumb for her to do it, you could kind of, and I'm really stretching it here, you could kind of say, all right, maybe there's something there. But is there no one else on this roster that she could have gone to ask for any sort of, not one person that she can go, not one. So she goes into this locker room and she asks this person, and I can take a couple of guesses because I haven't seen anything and I haven't looked at any press releases or anything. I haven't gotten a press release yet as of my recording this. But I have a few guesses as to who it might be. And I'll just give a few just because. So when we narrow it down to people that she's had some interaction with or wrestled against, has to be somebody that she wrestled against. The first name that I thought of was, well, maybe it's Fury. She wrestled against Fury several times when she being Princess Aussie, and I'm going to use air quotes for hypnotized to be part of the dark side, which they never explained how she got out of, by the way. It could be her. I doubt it because Fury has essentially become part of the new Heavy Metal Sisters, which was a kind of a waste of time, but that's what happened. But she's on the list as a maybe. Holiday, who would make more sense for me as somebody that she might go to, because even though she's wrestled with / against, she is essentially migrated over to being a babyface. The only downside there is that whatever matches and angles that they had, and this applies to Fury as well, most people watching this show right now probably haven't seen. Because it took place a season or two ago, and they shouldn't be referencing that. But I'm just going with who I think they would, potentially have. Because I don't think time frame would matter to WoW. I wanted to put down Penelope Pink, but I scratched the line through that one just because of that's a little bit too far-fetched, even for WoW. I can't believe that she would Penelope Pink would be a good option for me. Win-loss-wise, she would be, but it wouldn't make any sense for Pink to abandon her manager to go work with Princess Aussie for some unknown reason. I couldn't justify what would she had to gain off of that. There is Tormenta, who, again, they wrestled. It was a while ago, but I don't really see what she would gain out of that. Tormenta has a horrible win-loss record as well. It's like there are times when I look at her and I'm like, she cannot buy a win. So I don't know why that would be somebody that she would go to in some sort of real world setting. But this ain't a real world setting, so take that with a grain of salt. It certainly could not or shouldn't be anybody like Abilene Maverick or the Bees, because they're tied up in their own thing. And she hasn't wrestled the Bees, so I would immediately disqualify that. Is there anybody else? I mean, that was more or less all the people that I could think of who had some sort of connection to or potential to be there with Princess Aussie. But of the people that I've named, Fury, Tormenta, these are people who have not had the best luck in the singles division, and in some cases not the best luck in tag teams. It wouldn't make a lot of sense for Princess Aussie as a person to just let me go get this person because they'll be the person that I need to right the wrongs and win the match and overcome the evil. If it were just a case of your record doesn't matter and let me just get me a partner to tag up with, why not a Chantella Chella or a Keita Rush or Stephy Slayz? Like I said, if the win and loss doesn't matter, then what difference does it make? Or G.I. Jane. I mean, there's any number of people that could be there, but since they narrowed it down to you and I, you were the toughest, one of the toughest people that I wrestled against, it narrows the field. I just don't think that there's any reason for her not to. Let's just say Keita Rush. What is she doing? When was the last time we seen her? And I think that it's been so long. I believe they tagged up. They used it as a third partner and a third person and a sixth woman before. So why not? But I mean, I guess probably that makes a little bit too much sense. So we go to from that, and Princess Aussie asking another heel apparently for help. She should probably make a public declaration to the locker room, like, "Hey, where are my friends at?" Because if she has to go through the measure of going to the heel side to ask for help in the last 2 times that she's needed help, then there's a problem there. She needs friends. The next match, or next segment, is the main event match, or at least the opening portion of it, before they went to a break. It's IQ Superior with Island Dynasty, and they're coming out the ringside. It's hard for me to take this seriously because of the class match. The class match always looks silly. And much like I said with J Boogie, looks like she's just goofing off. So she comes out there pointing at her book and pointing at her brains because she's smart. And Samantha Smart cuts a cookie cutter promo. Same thing I said before. I'm better than you. We're great, etc., etc., etc. No originality to that. They should probably make the managers work on those things. Smart is not involved in the match, but she's not dressed for it. They brought that up. And I feared at this moment, I was like, we're not even going to get a good manager match out of this, are we? And lo and behold, I was right, but we'll get to that. They take a break for commercial after this. They come back, and it's a commercial spot for next week. And my mind was about to blow a gasket just at the thought of this. Goldie Collins and Katarina Jenks versus the Mother Truckers. Advertised for next week in a title shot. My first thought, why? But why though? That was the exact, that's why I said that was the theme of this, but why though? Why are they, Katarina Jenks and Goldie Collins, getting a championship match? For what? What have they done to deserve this? What have they done? Who have they beaten, either in singles or tag, to justify them getting a match against anyone for anything? And they haven't. I don't think either one of them have won a match, period, much less any tag team. So why is this taking place? God. It's just very deflating. And again, like I said, it's another case of, I cannot imagine that the advertisement for that match would make anybody want to watch it based on, I wonder if they'll take it, or I wonder if they'll win. Who would have any doubts about this? The only people that would have doubts about this are people who clearly don't watch the show or follow anything, or just accept that everything that WoW does is fantastic. They've already wrestled them for this, and they beat them not less than a month ago. The Mother Truckers already beat, what was it? They had 2 different names during the show that they were on, Animal Control and then Animal Instinct. But they already beat them. So what are we going with this for? Why is this happening again? And it's not like it was a long time ago. This is a match that they beat. That this is the second to last tag team championship defense that they've had on this show. And it was a clear victory. It's not like if the victory was in doubt. It's not like, oh, well, they just got by the skin of their teeth. It's not like Animal Instinct had them down, but the ref didn't see it, so they have some arguable point. It's just Animal Instinct versus the Mother Truckers, again, for the tag team championships, even though they haven't done anything to get there or deserve it. But yet and still, the very next match following this ad is to get someone to a number one contendership. I don't understand it. But why, though? And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm sure that Katarina Jinx and Goldie Collins is going to lose. I do not have to look at a thing. If they win, I'll be insanely shocked. But I'm sure that them two knuckleheads are going to lose the match. So we go to the main event. And it is IQ Superior with Samantha Smart participating in the match, taking on the Island Dynasty with Tiki Chamorro and the Tonga Twins. So, as stated, Samantha Smart, and they made note of this in the commentators, that she is not dressed to wrestle. They tried to illustrate the point that, is she going to actually take the time to get in the ring and stuff like that? None of which happened. And again, it became very difficult to care because Samantha Smart didn't do anything to make anybody care. This goes back to what I'm saying is like that Sophia Lopez, Angelica Dante, Lana Starr to some degree, although Starr has credibility because of what she's already done, they are all become cookie cutter. They just repeat the same stuff phrased differently. And it's like they don't know how to change that. The most interesting person in this equation was Tiki Chamorro. Because Tiki works as a good underdog. And Tiki was the spokesperson, I guess, for the Island Dynasty, while the other two just stood back there as muscle. And like I said, once they lost the championships and they're not chasing the championships, they just became a bland tag team. They don't do anything. They don't serve any purpose. They don't let you know who they are or why you should care about them. They're just there. Same thing with the other side of the equation, but at least they're, despite the silliness of the class master, despite the horrible win-loss record of the disciplinarian, at least there's some kind of personality and body language. So this match basically was a handicap match which favored the baby faces. Samantha Smart, and there's no spoiler here, had nothing to do with this, didn't even come into the equation at all. Oh yeah, I mean, she reached out and grabbed some hair or something like that at some point, but didn't come into the equation. If you're going to do this, at least play the part of the heel manager involved in the match. Now again, I don't even think that they did a good job as to support why she would do this. Because it's not like the Tonga Twins, as far as we know, were declared the number one contenders and they were just due for a championship match and they were putting their number one contendership on the line. All Samantha Smart said was, well, they don't deserve another chance at the championship when we haven't seen them get another chance at the championship. They pretty much lost it and they stayed out of it. So I don't know what that was about. But in any case, we've got Samantha Smart there, and like I said, she didn't even play it up as being in a heel manager role, the coward manager. Is little things that she could have did. She could have talked some trash. She could have waited until her girls got a severe advantage over Tiki tomorrow, taking the tag in, come in and tried to do some stuff until Tiki had enough and then blast her with a big fist. And then she goes immediately and tags out. I don't want no part of this. Get in there and do something. Play the coward. They could have cut her off from her tag team partners to where she was begging off, please don't hurt me. Something. Anything to justify why we have her there and we can illustrate what Samantha Smart is about. She talks a good game. She thinks she's smarter than everybody else. But when push comes to shove, she's got nothing. And we didn't get any of that. This should have just been a tag team. It's the same thing I said about the other 6-person. Should have just been a tag team match. It didn't do anything, didn't go anywhere. There was no real purpose behind having this 3-person match because it didn't play into the fact that Samantha Smart was forced, quote unquote, into being a part of this match at all. Nothing came from it. And the only thing the commentators did to somewhat play into that was, I knew she was not going to tag in, so then why do this? If I were going to book this match and I was going to have Samantha Smart be forced into doing it was like, I need you to do the heel manager shtick. You only get into the match when it serves your purpose, when you think that this person is down and you have nothing else to lose. I mean, not nothing else to lose, but you don't think that she has a chance in hell to get back at you. You demand a tag at that point. When the disciplinarian or the class match is beating Tiki tomorrow up to such a point that she looked like she has no hope of getting over that. You give me the tag. Let me get in there. Then you get in there. You stomp on her a little bit. And then Tiki has enough, and it gets to the point that the fans can get behind her when she's coming back on this person that has annoyed the audience to such a degree that we're waiting to see her getting beat up. That is another reason why I say that the managers here don't do enough for their position. I can compare it to a manager that was working here locally at APCW. Her name was Angel. Now, Angel I don't think she even really had any aspirations to go anywhere else beyond just being a local manager, but she did it very well. Angel made it a point to annoy that fan base, the audience at large, as much as she could possibly do it. To the point that by the time I got there, she had already established herself as the manager that you should hate. To the point that when she spoke on the microphone, the audience would just drown her out with boos. Like, she had to audibly raise her voice to get the point across in some occasions because she had gotten that much heat with the audience. The thought that one of the wrestlers were going to get her hands on her made them happy. And they did it. They teased it a couple of times. In fact, I think Fury Harlow O'Hara at the time might have been one of them, if I remember correctly. But they teased her getting hurt on a couple of occasions because they wanted to see her get hers. They wanted to see her get her comeuppance. And it never happened. She always escaped. She ran away. She ducked underneath. She did this, or she put one of her wrestlers in the way. She built herself to where in that audience, she was one of the most hated people around. And she was not afraid of being one of the most hated persons around. She finally got a comeuppance and it popped that crowd. And it wasn't even like it was on purpose. It was like the baby face. I mean, it was on purpose, storyline wise, angle wise. But in kayfabe, it was an accident, quote unquote, by her charge. She gets up in the ring. She's distracting the referee. The baby face Bulldog Dylan at this point, gets her in the corner. He's chastising her. What are you doing? Why are you in this ring? And she's backing up, trying to give her heel the opportunity to get himself together so he can do something about it. And she's in the corner, and he's finally up. He sees her in trouble. He gets ready to charge. He's like a freight train. He charges from one corner to the next. The Bulldog sees him out of the corner of his eye. He pulls himself out of the way by the ropes. And then her heel splashes her in the corner by mistake. The crowd goes nuts. Yeah, they're happy because she got it, even though it wasn't intentional. She got what she had coming to her. And Robert made them wait for that. He made them wait to see her get her comeuppance. Here, I don't think this crowd would care. I don't think they would care if Samantha Smart got body slam, choke slam, tossed through a table, or anything else. I don't think they would care. Because she, like a lot of them, haven't done enough to that audience to make them feel like, I got to see this woman be shut up. It just doesn't happen. And this match did not do anything to help facilitate that. She didn't, even though she was part of the match, she still could have cheated. She could have grabbed legs. She grabbed the hair. She could have distracted anything. Most of that was just lost. And it just didn't go anywhere. So at the end of the match, when Tiki's managed to get out, she tags one of the Tonga twins in. The class master gets in as well because it's only, like I said, there's only two of them. It's the disciplinary and the class master, and Samantha Smart just stays on the apron. Class master charges in. I forget which Tonga twin this is. Doesn't matter. Pretty much beats up on the class master. So whatever field of dominance that she had, she's been neutralized now. I would have never put her in the ring with the Tonga twins until I was ready for the Tonga twins to get beaten by a big boot by the class master. If I wanted her to be dominant. I don't want her standing next to anybody that makes her look less than. Yes, she's taller than them, but they look bigger and stronger. But that's aside from the point. So the class master gets beaten up, and the disciplinarian saves her from losing, drags her out from her corner, makes the tag. She gets herself in there. And then when she gets beaten up enough, they do a very poor 3D on the disciplinarian. And thank goodness that they had a different camera angle to not show how awful that 3D was. Didn't look like it connected at all. And then, I'm not even sure if Tiki tagged in or not. But they get Tiki into the ring. After they do 3D. She gets the splash. I am positive that she did not tag into this match. So it would have been the illegal person getting the pin, technically speaking. She comes in, she does a splash on the disciplinarian. The disciplinarian loses. Surprise, surprise. And the match is over with. And that's all there was to it. Nothing there, no heat involved. Nothing to be, you got to go see this match. It was just a match, and it was just to fill airtime. Didn't do anything, didn't go anywhere. I don't know what they could have gotten out of this match. I mean, the class master's back as being part of a losing effort. The Tonga twins were pretty much shoehorned into this thing when they didn't need to be, because, I mean, really, where were they in terms of getting the title shot to begin with? They just got mentioned, and then there they were. They just magically appeared. The disciplinarian continues her massive losing streak. Samantha Smart didn't do anything as it related to her being a reasonable manager. Didn't play up the coward manager thing at all. So I don't know what we were supposed to get out of this. Aside from it was just a match to fill up the main event. And it wasn't even the main event that was in question. I did not question who was going to win this in the slightest. I knew from the moment that this match was made that it was going to be a win for the Island Dynasty. And like I said, the most interesting person in this entire match was Tiki Chamorro. The Tonga twins didn't do or say anything, so I don't know what we were supposed to get out of that. It just, yeah. It is interesting, and it was silly, and it just, I don't know. But that was the show, and if you've listened to this from start to finish, you can understand the whole but why though. But why? That's all I got from this. Is why is Princess Aussie asking another heel? Why did Samantha Smart even make this challenge to the Tonga twins to begin with? What did they have to do with the tag team championships? Why is Ariel Scott not showing herself as being concerned or care about or anything that's going on in this? Why is Exile having this fight for no good reason? Just up and down the card. Why? The best part of this show is the Brat Pack and the Mighty Mites, and I will repeat that I hope that I see BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni take on Sugar and Spice, just the four of them. They should have a series of matches if I were going for it, and they should have promos, not just matches on their own. They cannot do this with matches on their own, but they need promo battles and they need matches to build to one final confrontation. That's what they should have, because I have the utmost faith that they could carry it off. But that was the show, and it was a good D-. That's about as high as I can go for this, because it's just nonsense. So now, this is the point where if you don't want to know what's going on, you can skip ahead. But I'm going to prepare to read the description, the show description for the next episode of WoW that should be coming up as of this episode, the weekend ahead of me. So you have been warned. You can push ahead to the next chapter. If you have not done it at this point, then I guess you want to hear it. So here we go. The next episode is going to be episode 235. That'll be number 87 for me. The title will be Facing the Boss, which, as I'm looking at this, as I'm reading this, I guess applies to Adriana Gambino. So here it is. The boss, Adriana Gambino, makes her way to the ring in style to deal with Princess Aussie. After weeks of drama, well, okay, let me stop right there. God damn, I couldn't even get past 2 sentences and not question this. What drama between these two? Had they even explained why Adriana Gambino wants to get rid of Princess Aussie in the first place? I mean, she already beat her. Why is this a thing? What is it that Adriana Gambino needs to do or defeat Princess Aussie or get her out of her way for? She's already done it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to start over now. That, as I read that just stroked my nerve. Okay, so let's start over. The boss, Adriana Gambino, makes her way to the ring in style to deal with Princess Aussie. After weeks of drama between these two, Aussie's mystery partner will finally be revealed, and she must be facing the unrelenting boss and her toughest nails muscle when tensions finally come to a head in the main event. Animal Instinct, Goldie Collins and Katarina Jinx claw their way into a rematch for the Wild Tag Team Championships against fan favorites, the Mother Truckers. I am going to stop right there. And again, where did they claw their ways from what? They haven't tagged up since then. They haven't had a match as a team since then. The one and only match they had, they lost against the same team that they're going against in this next episode. Continuing on. Bouncing back from loss, Penelope Pink continues her mission for championship goal as she battles rising star Americana, who is being trained by top talent and former Wild champion Santana Garrett. Former teammates clash as Coach Campanelli takes on Sasha Sparks with Ariel Sky as top tier's water girl, but how much more indignity can Ariel take? I really hope that it is a far better executed episode than what I just read. What weeks of drama between Aussie and Adriana Gambino. They never even explained why Adriana Gambino's got a hard-on for Princess Aussie to begin with. Where did Animal Instinct claw their way back up from? Much less to get a World Tag Team Championship match. Penelope Pink going against Americana might be the most sensible thing that's on here. Pink shouldn't lose, but it's probably the most sensible thing that's on here. And you could probably get something out of Americana if she is produced from start to finish, but I doubt that that's going to happen, and I'm sure I'm going to lose faith in her too. I've already lost faith in her, but I just, I don't think they're going to make it any better. And former team, why would I care about that? Campanelli versus Sasha Sparks. And what indignity has Ariel Sky taken? Like I said, she got what she wanted. She wanted to be working hard for Coach Campanelli, and that's exactly what she's doing. I don't know what to say about this. I'll watch it. I wouldn't tune in just based on this alone because it sounds frustrating. Quite honestly, that everything I just read sounds frustrating to me. But I'll tune in because I tune in every week and I'm at the job, but I don't know if this would make me on my own flip the wire like, you know what, I gotta watch this, opposed to just logging on to YouTube and looking at something else that I know I'd like. But that's me. If you feel differently, if you have any other comments, if you think the I missed something, or you want to share something with me like some of you have, and I thank you for that, feel free to leave it in the comments below. I love seeing it. I love getting the messages directly in the emails and the comments from the people that have listened to the show, wherever you may be. Thank you for that. And to polish this thing up and finish it off, if you are so inclined, feel free to subscribe, share, and like the videos. If you're listening to this on any podcast platforms, you can subscribe and listen to it every week on those particular and individual platforms as well. The feed does go out to several places. So wherever greater podcasts are listened to, we should be there, including iTunes and, well, I guess Google Play doesn't exist anymore. They've just pretty much migrated over to YouTube Music. So, but we are there. We're on YouTube Music as well. If you are confused and you do not know where to get these things, well, you can always go to WPNWrestling.com. WPNWrestling.com is the centerpiece and is the nexus for everything that's going on. And we are going to be keeping our eyes open for future events with WoW and some of the WoW girls, and I've been branching out. I've already started watching some other things to cover into some additional reviews for wrestling with women across the country in different events like Uprising. I see that's a new company out there featuring Brittany Brooks, who's a young lady that I did interview, and I hate the fact that I don't know how it happened, but everything that I said is like completely on mute. and my microphone wasn't muted. Like it's an absolute mystery to me because it happened like multiple times. But yeah, she could hear me. Everything was fine during the actual thing, but when I played it back, it's like she's talking to herself. Have no idea, and I hated it. I owe that young lady a interview. I need to buy some merchandise from her or something, just as a make good. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. The end result here is thank you for listening, and you can always catch us at our website and or go to the YouTube channel, just Women's Pro Wrestling Network or WPN Wrestling. Either one should bring it up. And you can hear all episodes, and you can go back into our archive and check out some of the matches that took place, including one where I discussed in the previous podcast why the creative that I had to deal with for Kiera Hogan taking on Tiffany Rocks was so awful, and it's that I tried my best to explain it, but even trying to explain it today, it sounds just ridiculous. But you can go back and listen to that in the previous episode. So, with that being the case, we will keep ourselves open and available for Facing the Boss, the next episode of WOW. Hopefully, it will be better than what I'm anticipating, although my anticipation meter is not very high for that particular episode. Yeah. And we will end on that. And me saying the close, as I do, that this is Mr. Green saying, that this is Mr. Green saying, so long, and we will see you on the next go-around. Take care, everybody, and leave the comments below.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.